life hasn't been what you probably think it has. We all have our struggles.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Film Seizure Streams the Movies. I am Geoff Arbuckle, and with me, we've got a full house of Film Seizure peoples. With me is Jason Oliver. Say hi, Jason.
Hey, how you doing?
I said say hi, Jason.
Hey, how you doing?
And also Chuck Moore. Chuck, how's it going?
Hey, what's up? Hi, Jason.
Hey, how you doing?
This time around, we are going to talk about the one of the tentpole movies that got delayed until it wasn't delayed anymore. And that is Warner Brothers and DC Comics production of Wonder Woman 1984. I think we've got a lot to say about this movie, I think, between the three of us. First and foremost, Chuck, what was your initial opinion of it?
My initial opinion of it was, I thought it was okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a great movie. I think something all of us will say is it was incredibly long.
Yeah.
I don't know, Geoff, if you'll say that for sure, but it was definitely long. So initially, okay, and too long.
Okay. Jason, what go ahead and hit us with your opinion.
Yeah, I just didn't really like it. It all of the plot points felt just derivative of derivative of derivative. It was just, I mean, and now we got another superhero movie with some magic rocks in it. It's like just an overdone genie movie. I just didn't really get into it. I mean, some of the characters are fine. I liked the first Wonder Woman. I was looking forward to this movie.
I thought you didn't like the first Wonder Woman.
No, I liked it. Yeah, I liked it just fine. None of the DC movies really have like blown me away, but of them all, that's the one I think that I've liked the best. At least since the Nolan Batmans. Yeah, it just felt a little bland.
Okay.
I also I don't think they really made good on the promise of it being like an 80s movie, right? I think I would have liked them to lean into that a little bit more.
That's kind of funny because I think we're going to disagree there. But not necessarily, like, sort of disagree, but also not really disagree. We'll get to that. As far as I mean, I'm kind of with Chuck. It's okay. It's fine. I don't think it had enough weight to it. I think that I think it's a little muddled. That said, though, there were things that I liked about it a tad bit more than the first one, in the sense that the first one still felt like a Zack Snyder super dour movie because it's in World War I, and that's not a great time in human history. And this one was at least trying to be more fun, and I appreciate that. But I also think I fear that DC is just absolutely hopeless in trying to figure out what fun is. They did it with Shazam, but they can't figure it out anyplace else.
Let me say this, with the beginning of Wonder Woman 1984, take out the race, which was cool. It was cool enough, the race.
I don't think that scene was necessary, though.
No, it wasn't. It should have gone straight to what I would call the Superman 3 open. Like, it was very much like Superman 3.
This whole movie was like the Superman movies.
In a lot of ways.
There's a Superman 2, a big Superman 2 in this. And there's a everybody fix the world by running opposite direction that the earth is spinning fast enough to spin it back around to put everything back to the way it was. And then, yes, the Superman 3 beginning. And Superman 4 with all the nukes.
Yeah.
that first scene, I think, was supposed to set up something thematically about her character that I don't really think they connected very well. Yeah, it didn't work for me. I thought that was one of the better looking set pieces of the movie.
In
You mean the
Arlington?
island
Yeah.
when they were on the island,
Oh.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, that I liked the scene itself. Yeah, but I agree. I don't feel like they didn't really pull off its necessity
Well,
as
I
far
also
as a character development or
Right.
growth
It should have
Wonder
come
Woman.
back in the end, like as
Yeah.
because her failure in the beginning was looking backwards, right? It was looking at the past.
exactly, and
Yeah.
but also at the same time, I do not believe she should have lost that competition. She thought on her feet and regained her
But
steam.
she missed one of the markers though.
Yeah, but you know
You've got to
what?
hit those. That's part
Yeah,
of the
but
part of the thing, man.
No, but here's the thing, though.
That would be like missing a pole in a slalom.
Yeah, but okay, this is essentially kind of a war game, where you're like, you're charging along. You're going to have to hit these. Yes, okay, it would be helpful if you did shoot that one guy that you missed. But if you're able to like keep moving towards the thing that you're supposed to attack, which is a giant circle in the sky, then I think she succeeded.
Well,
Well,
I guess
hell, she could've
Bodie Miller should have like 8 more gold medals then.
Yeah. Yeah. Or she should have just, thrown her javelin through the circle at the very beginning and win. Be like, sorry, all you dumbasses that ran the race.
I'm thinking on my feet, bitches.
That's what Jim Kirk would have done.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
He would have broke the rules for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. He said, I just changed the conditions of this race.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we can talk all we want about that opening scene because everybody got to see that online like a week ago. But it then transitions to 1984 and the Superman 3 beginning, where you have a jogger who got barfed on by the 80s with her little Walkman.
Yeah.
Trying to cross the street where a guy in a Mustang with mustaches that came from the 80s.
Yeah, all the 80s is jam packed into like 2 scenes in this movie.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And then of course, it's like, there's obstacles all over the place that Wonder Woman swings in like Spider-Man. By the way, this movie is also a Spider-Man movie.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit.
Yeah, Susan made that comment too.
It's like, wait.
She even said, "Is she a Spider-Man fan?"
Yeah. Is she just Is she just Spider-Man the way she's, slinging around town? So then, and then like these little girls like steal sunglasses from the village pantry, and they run and they knock a bride over the side of a bridge or something. It's bonkers. It's absolutely like I cannot get my footing at the beginning of this movie at all. Because then it goes straight from that into a heist at the Arlington Mall. I have been to that mall. And they are... Then there's like... You got to knock the little girl away into the stuffed animal. You got to punch the bad guys. You've got to tie the bad guys up, and then you're going to drop them on a car, which would totally kill them.
Probably.
I was actually into it at this point. Like,
Well,
I thought
I mean-
the first scene was fun and the second scene was fun. I'm like, all right, cool. This is just good fun.
Well, here's
It's
the
until they
thing.
started trying to introduce things that you care about that I did not care about.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like the opening, I wasn't totally out of it. It was just happening so fast to my face.
Yeah,
And it's like,
I can see that. It was pretty kinetic. But I thought it was still pretty well laid out. I was able to track most of it, which isn't normal for me these days.
right. I think it's one of those things where it's like, I'm also at home watching it too. Like, I wonder if this type of movie does have a little bit of it'd be nice to have been trapped in a theater to watch it. But at the same time, it's like, I'm also perfectly fine not going to a movie theater and watching this. So then they, so it's like, it's all about this obtaining this crystal thing, right? And basically this crystal grants people's wishes, and it's been tracked throughout the ages as being something that ultimately brought down societies and civilizations. The last one that it took down was like the Mayans or something.
Spoiler alert.
And boy howdy, does it never really quite tell you how the rules of this goddamn thing work.
No, it does not.
No, it really doesn't.
I was so confused by, I forget, Max Power, is that his name?
Max Lord.
Max Lord. It should have been Max Power. Anyway, I was never quite sure about how he was manipulating his powers. How to say, I will take this from you because you made a wish. It's like the stone was never set up to be this.
Yeah, that's part of the problem with the script of this movie. It's like, okay, well, we got to make Max Lord a bad guy, so he has to essentially be the monkey's paw, right? So he's got to grant somebody's wish and then take something from them. But
Yeah,
but
it takes
he
away your
grants
greatest strength.
but he also grants people's powers. He grants people's wishes before he takes what he wants. So how does that work?
Yeah, and then he somehow like has mind control over them because they owe him now, but that's not how it really works either.
No, that was just shoehorning Max Lord's real power from the comics.
It's just some real messy plotting.
Yeah.
And that makes the movie really hard to grab onto because you really just don't care. You figure, well, good will triumph eventually. Fuck it. Let's just get on to the next action set piece.
Well, yeah. I mean, so here's a couple of things about Wonder Woman in the comics, and I could be wrong on this, but yeah, okay. So the Cheetah, who is this version of the Cheetah, came along in the 80s, but the Cheetah has always been a Wonder Woman villain.
Oh, you mean Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
got early vibes on that.
Yeah, there's definitely some Batman Returns in this too. So then, so you have that character who's always been a Wonder Woman villainess, has always been a big problem in the DC. I mean, she's one of the top tier villains. I mean, like, not necessarily easy for anybody to take down. Max Lord has never really been a Wonder Woman villain until about 15 years ago when she killed him. And at that point, they were like connected forever. But like, to have Max Lord in this, I was confused a little bit by, like you said, what his powers are, because this is not the Max Lord. This is not a very good adaptation of Max Lord.
He's usually like a Lex Luthor type, right?
He's a manipulator. So in a way, he is kind of like Lex Luthor, but he often works from shadows. He can manipulate people. That's why Wonder Woman killed him, was because he was manipulating Superman, and he said, "I'm going to use him to hurt people. You have to kill me to end this," and so she did. And that doesn't make him. I don't know. There's a lot of problems in the story of this movie that the more I thought about it, the more I was like, this is kind of a problem with this movie. Like,
I did mostly like a lot of the performances, though.
They were fine. Yeah,
I liked Pedro Pascal quite a bit, doing sort of like the pyramid scheme,
Ponzi scheme
kind of guy. That he was pretty good and fun to watch when you were able to understand what his motives were. When you weren't, it was kind of difficult to sort of connect at all with him. But he was still really, you could tell he was having fun. He was having a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Chris Pine, to me, felt very shoehorned into this movie. I don't know.
Steph hates him. My wife hates him. She wants to punch him every time.
I like him. I think he's a great actor. I really do. And I enjoy him. But
I
don't really understand why he's in this movie.
Here's
to give her conflict.
Well, here's part of another problem with this too, is that you have these competing storylines, right? You have Diana trying to figure out if she should be, well, I don't know. Should she be in the world? I don't understand what she's doing. Mm-hmm. She doesn't want anybody to know she exists. Why? I do not know. She doesn't want...
Because they've already painted that corner.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. And so there's that, and then there's she's yearning for Steve Trevor. So there's a storyline that competes directly with the Max Lord storyline, which then causes you to oftentimes forget that, oh yeah, Kristen Wiig is in this too. And and it's just kind of like, well, when you get to a certain point when you have to say, oh yeah, that one person who's a very major part of this movie is also in this movie. What is this? What do you have here? And it's very confusing, and
she's very confusing, Kristen Wiig. I like her as a sketch comedy actor. I don't
or a straight comedy actor. Sorry.
Yeah. When she's kind of playing the straight person, like in a Bridesmaid or something, right? Yeah, she's really good at playing off others. In this, I felt like in the first act, she was combining about 3 or 4 different characters she created on SNL to cobble together this role, and it was very off-putting.
Yeah. Well, she's somebody who I think is now kind of just playing herself all the time.
Yeah.
And that's...
I liked her better when she, I guess this is kind of a spoiler, but when she becomes evil. I thought she was more interesting.
Yeah. But by the time that happens, it's like, oh yeah, she's in this movie. And it kind of feels out of nowhere,
Yeah.
Barbara Minerva is the cheetah in the DC comics, right? So that's not much of a surprise.
Yeah,
at least if you follow.
I don't know
if you follow the comics.
She's the third and most recent character to be called the cheetah. Yeah,
I figured that wasn't really a spoiler per se.
To go back on their performances, Gal Gadot again is an awesome Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like when she's given the chance to be Wonder Woman, she is great, and she's even great as Diana. I forget her last name. Prince. She's a really good version of Wonder Woman. I think she just wasn't given a ton to do in this movie. I don't even feel like that's the other thing is like Wonder Woman wasn't really Wonder Woman for most of it.
Yeah, this movie is definitely suffering from sequelitis. It doesn't feel. It just feels like it just wants to kind of give you this sense of, hey, there's Wonder Woman and she kicks that tank in the air, but that's really about it, and it's like, and she uses that lasso like a motherfucker in this, but there's no real. I didn't really feel the stakes of this movie.
Yeah, I didn't either. I don't really understand her. I think it's hard to develop a character like Wonder Woman when you've done it in so many different decades now, right?
Yeah. I haven't even gotten to my fucking notes yet, guys.
So it's hard to give her anything to anchor her because you've seen her in the future, you've seen her in the past, now you've seen her in the past again.
Her anchor was Steve, trying to give Steve an anchor or be an anchor for him is how she grounds herself, I guess.
Which I think kind of sucks because
it's weird
because she's supposed to be, the Amazonian princess. She's like the feminist icon, and she's still like anchoring herself to a male, right? Which is just weird to me. Why can't we move past that? Why couldn't this movie have moved past that?
Yeah. So okay, let me get into some of my notes here because these are like. One thing about Diana and about Wonder Woman is there is an earnestness in this, and she's very, very nice. And that's nice, right? Like
when she's kind to Minerva are some of my more favorite moments in this.
Because she empathizes with people. She can see, oh, this woman is really lonely, and I should probably see if she wants to go to an early dinner or something. They take. It's nice to see her actually protecting children. It's like that's one thing that you just don't see in a lot of these movies. And when she throws the little black girl into the stuffed animal, and then afterwards, and she's kind of like winking at her, it's like that's really cute. And there's very it's like a motherly element to her, which I think is really kind of sweet, but also kind of hokey. But I think hokey though in a perfectly fine and okay way.
The hokey parts of the first into the second act worked really well.
Yeah.
The hokiness started to wear itself thin in like the epilogue.
We'll get there. We'll get there. There's obviously a lot in this movie that talks about like bad behavior by men, which is fine. I mean, but it does almost turn this movie into an exploitation movie.
Oh my God. So I turned to Steph like halfway through the movie after about the 7th time a man accosted a woman. And I was like, the 80s, right?
Yeah. all of us are, we were all terrible. Jeez, but like at the same time though, it's like, at what point did you think there's one guy in particular who gets his ass handed to him? Did you think that this had turned into a rape revenge movie?
Oh yeah.
It's like I've seen plenty.
Actually, I actually would have watched the shit out of that movie. Minerva as Cheetah and on a rape revenge rampage,
right?
And Wonder Woman having to take her down. Yeah. That is a fucking movie,
right?
Yep.
That would have been like that. That's the 1974 version of Wonder Woman. Woman 1974.
Yeah. But instead,
set it in Times Square. Yeah.
But instead, this woman who's been treated poorly by men throughout time decides to become the hero for a man. To protect a man. Like it just didn't sit right. It's like, why would she be doing? I know what she's protecting without giving away spoilers, but at the same time, it's like she should hate this guy for what he's done to her and what other men have done to her.
Yeah.
Again, the themes all get all muddled. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
So here's where I become, or this is where I start getting the whys and the hows in my notes here. Why are they setting the Wonder Woman movies in the time frames that they are? She's a World War II character, so they make a World War I movie about her. There's nothing special about 1984. Why 1984?
Yeah.
What specifically is about 1984 other than to use the Cold War, maybe?
I kind of feel like, honestly, this is a problem with trying to figure out where the present story is going to go. So they put Wonder Woman in an era where it wouldn't affect whatever they decide to do, which they will never decide fully to do.
Except it kind of does, because she's supposed to be a secret,
Yeah. Right. The whole world will see her now. I mean, and then there were also people so she's so protective of her identity, but then later there are moments where it's just like, oh yeah, I know you're Wonder Woman, whatever. It's like there's
the call out on her was like, what?
Yeah, that's so weird, because it's like nobody stops when they realize that this person that they work with is Wonder Woman. Nobody stops is like, oh my God. It's just like, yeah, whatever, we know. You're a gorgeous woman who is clearly tall enough to be this mysterious superhero lady. Yeah, sure, makes sense, whatever. This is the problem with the stakes, right? Like, why do one thing earlier for it to not matter later? Why be so careful with your identity only for you to immediately give it up and not care about it later? It's really bizarre. But like the time frame, this is where I say the only reason why it's set in 1984 is because the 1980s are something that people like right now. It doesn't mean anything otherwise.
But they don't even, I don't feel like they even lean into that enough. Like the soundtrack for one thing. I mean, I think I picked
Well,
out
I would
one.
have hated it more if it was the soundtrack.
Oh, I would have liked if they had made it, you know, at least, you know, bring some music, bring some actual substance, I guess, of the 80s into it rather than just fashion and cars, you know? I think there were really key moments where they could have plugged in like an awesome 80s tune, right? The only song I could even pick out from the 80s, I might have missed some, but was Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Welcome to the Pleasure Dome. I think it was like the only song, and it was at the party at the Smithsonian.
Oh yeah.
And I was kind of like grooving. I was like, all right, this is kind of what I've been looking for. We're late into the first act, but you know, better late than never, I guess. And then nothing again. And that song, if I'm not mistaken, is an anachronism because that song came out after 1984.
This is why I'm glad they didn't do that much with the 80s, because every single thing that does that, like the whole series of Stranger Things, is an anachronism.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
You know, there's so many shows
that gives that show that its vibe. Like if you make that,
but you know what?
It doesn't have as much appeal.
I know, but that vibe is fine. The problem is when you start cramming in the pop culture references, this guy gets real fucking pissed off at you.
Yeah, but I think that's the problem, right? Is that they did cram a bunch of stuff in that I didn't care about, and that felt like, oh, remember this movie takes place in the 80s, and they didn't do that naturally. They didn't just let that happen. Like set the movie in the 80s, like make it feel like it would have been made in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
That's how you make a movie like that. You don't kind of like have a whole montage of Chris Pine trying to find the right outfit. Like that's fucking stupid.
That I kind of feel like that is
it felt like the seed from Airborne, by the way.
I agreed. That's what I thought of.
Which is a 90s movie, so that doesn't even fucking matter anyway. No, I kind of feel like if there's, I don't know how to say this. I don't know how to say this the right way without sounding like a shitty person about this. I kind of feel like the clothes montage, that's a montage that's seen in movies that the target audience is typically female.
And
maybe. I think that maybe is what's going. It's like, hey, the girls watching this will like this. Look at this.
Let me
look at
ask
these
you
stupid
this.
parachute pants.
It does set up one decent joke that I liked that pays off at the end of the movie.
At the
that
very
I
end,
actually
yeah.
quite liked.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, because you just mentioned target audience. Who is the target audience for this movie? Because I know someone that liked it quite a bit.
Did Brandon like it?
Yep, Brindley liked it
That's
quite
awesome.
a bit. Yeah,
Well,
and that's exactly who I'd like to like it.
Yes, that is true. Like I want first and foremost for Black Panther to be for black kids, for Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel to be for little girls. I want that first and foremost. However,
we're watching that movie with our kids, like adults are. We should get some enjoyment out of it too.
Exactly. There should be something that is universal, but that it primarily tilts. The problem is that this is a genre of movies that's full of assholes watching this movie. And so what they're looking for is to complain and bitch and moan about it being not for straight white males. And so they have to cater to that. And the problem is that it's not a good balance. It doesn't really work out that way.
And honestly, it doesn't work anyway. Like you said, you were reading a review about it where the straight white male that they tempted to pander to at least a little bit in this is still like aggro about the wokeness.
Yeah, they're aggro about guys, telling women to smile being considered a bad thing.
But you do wonder about the the artistic choices you have to sacrifice along the way to make this movie as a director, as a female director, Patty Jenkins. I'd really like to know. I mean, if she had been able to actually make the movie she wanted to make, because I guarantee you this is maybe 60% of the movie she wanted to make.
Yeah, so so that's my very next note, actually. This was co-written by Patty Jenkins and Geoff Johns. Now, Geoff Johns is a comic book writer, a big-time person at DC, and he was a protege before he got into comics of Richard Donner. And boy, we can see all those Superman references.
Yep.
So anyway, the problem, though, that Geoff Johns has always had is that Geoff Johns is very good at updating and bringing to the present characters that are obscure. He did an excellent job revamping things like the Justice Society, and revamping things like Teen Titans after they had kind of fallen off the radar for a little while. And so he's able to do a lot of really good things with very obscure characters. The problem is when he works on the big characters, Flash, and he did all right with Green Lantern, but Flash, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman in particular, he misses their point. And he has had a very, very strange relationship with Wonder Woman. For the longest time, he tries to play her off as this alien creature that doesn't understand humanity and doesn't understand that human, like she's this weird, very hardened warrior and not actually like a person or a thing. A thing that understands other people's empathy, and be empathic towards people and towards the people that she's protecting. And it almost feels like this movie swings entirely the opposite way, to the point where she's naive in this. This movie is an exceptionally naive movie. Because at the risk of giving too much of a spoiler, the entire movie has to be saved by the entire world not being selfish. There cannot be one single selfish person on the planet to save the Earth. Well, that ain't gonna fucking work. Because you're gonna tell me the guy who's headed out of office right now is going to be like, oh gee, I'm screwing up the Earth, I guess I got to renounce my wish.
Oh God, Baron might die.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. He'd be like, whatever.
Well, without talking too much about the ending, I thought it was overly heavy-handed.
Well, it's just this naive, man.
Way too much. And I was like, oh God, please don't. Okay, you're going this way.
Yeah, because I expected this to go, if you're going to have Wonder Woman disappear for another 35 years or 30 years or whatever, there's one easy thing she could do to save the world that would make her have to disappear for a while. We've seen it. We've seen it in the comics. Why didn't they do that?
Right.
Well, it's probably because that would not really work in this movie, but then again, they wrote themselves into a really, really bad corner, I think, this whole movie.
Yeah, I honestly, personally don't have a lot more to say about it because of that. Like the last act, I was just fairly disinterested.
Yeah, that was kind of a problem with the first movie too, was the last act felt like completely and totally different than the rest of the movie.
Right. So I accidentally played the first 20 minutes of Wonder Woman last night before we watched Wonder Woman 84. And the whole time I was like, I think they're like redoing her origin story or something so we don't forget, or maybe adding something in. To be honest, it was much better than a lot of the parts. That first 15 minutes was actually really good. Yeah. But then I was like, okay, this is the wrong movie. I need to switch to the right movie, begrudgingly.
Well, and that's kind of the funny thing too, is that this movie And I think it's maybe again like the why did you set it in the 80s and make it overly colorful? This movie kind of had a feel of it being a little cheap. Did you guys think it looked a little cheap in places?
So you had mentioned this a long time ago that the effects didn't look that good. I was actually hoping for a Superman-looking movie. Like if Jason was saying if they leaned in the 80s more and they actually made it look like an 80s movie too, like with kind of cheap...
Yeah, make the $1 Million Man.
Yeah. Yeah, like why not make it look more like something that came out in the 80s, even the special effects, and I would have been like, okay, I dig this because this reminds me of my childhood.
Right.
But they failed at that too. Go ahead, Jason.
No, I don't know. I didn't think it looked cheap necessarily. It looked like a DC action movie, to be honest. It looked like all the rest of them. They all look a little off to me.
They all look cheap, though. They all look like they're made in a soundstage.
I guess maybe cheap is the word, but you're right. They all look staged.
Yeah.
That's what it is. There's a staging to it.
The Marvel movies feel real because it's like, oh, they're in New York, and look, you can tell they exist in this world.
Yeah. It is. It is like that DC look, and I just don't like it. I agree with that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just got a couple more notes here. Just two more here.
I'll interject one while you're looking at your paper.
Go for it.
I think Wonder Woman's theme is one of the best superhero themes in modern day.
Yeah, it's really, really good. And you know what this movie really, really needed? Was a moment just like the first one had, like a real iconic coming out moment. Mm-hmm. Like she did coming out of the bunker or out of the trench into no man's land. And it's like that was the first time you got to see her really as Wonder Woman. That's an iconic scene.
They kind of had the moment, but it could have been better executed, and it could have used her theme. And it's when she learns to fly.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
They instead opted to use placeholder music. I'm absolutely 100% positive that was placeholder music in editing. It was John Barry's Adagio from the movie Sunshine. And I guarantee you they put that in as placeholder, and then they just decided to keep it because they probably fell in love with it, but they should have let Hans Zimmer write something for that.
Yeah.
I love that piece of music, but it felt really out of place.
I'm surprised Zack Snyder didn't come in and it's like, hey, why don't you put in some some hallelujah in there?
Look at a little Leonard Cohen up in his mother.
Yeah. He is obsessed with Leonard Cohen. Anyway, so one of the things I saw, speaking of Zack Snyder, I'm not going to pretend to know that this is any more or less than what Marvel does, but I can tell you the Marvel movies have a singular producing vision in Kevin Feige. Now there are other people who are listed as producers, but you know that Kevin Feige personally selects the script, the directors, and you feel that kind of cohesiveness. This movie had 17 producers, and I kind of feel it.
There's where all those notes came from.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Also, I like Kevin Feige's name better. The way I mispronounce it is Kevin Feige.
I think I say Feig, so we're both wrong.
So there's 17 producers on this, and I'm guessing, considering of those 17 producers, like 12 of them are listed as executive producers. I'm wondering if that kind of I feel like that plays out in this movie.
Yeah, I wonder if this, like the message of this film, which I thought was fine, honestly. I like the message.
The message is fine. Yeah,
but I wonder if this came out 6 months ago, or when I think it was supposed to come out in the summer.
Yeah, June.
Is that right?
Yeah,
it would have carried a lot more weight, I think, about personal responsibility with the upcoming election and all that stuff. and that's something you mentioned about the notes that other people had about this movie and their complaint about it. But the personal responsibility aspect of voting was definitely present in this film. I'm not going to give it shit for having it there.
No,
I think it would have been better served in the summer when people could talk about it in a more meanful way.
Yeah.
Now that
You were having mic issues earlier, and I when you were talking about some of the themes are also naive. That's one of them.
yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like there are a lot of really, really nice ideas in this movie, but they're so layered on top of each other that it becomes this. It becomes so full of its own ideas that now you've got like this. It muddles it all so much that it almost becomes like a nothing burger, right? Like, it's like, well, what's so big about that if it doesn't play out at the end? What's so great about this when it's such a small part of this movie? Why have a rape revenge scene where you have a villain beating the shit out of a cat caller for it to be over in 2 minutes and nothing more is said about it anywhere?
Yeah.
And then she goes off and saves another guy who's just maybe as bad, just in a different way.
Right. He had already abused her for the rock. For the most part.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's, it becomes this is where you start seeing those executive producers all scurry into a room and just like I did with my notes on a note card, and it's like, okay, here you go, Patty, we need you to change these things. And it's a little, it's disappointing, right? I wanted this movie to be better than it was, and I had concerns when trailers were coming out and it's like, oh my god, the cheetah looks like that, and I had my concerns, but at the same time it's like, well, it can look bad. I mean, it's like, I still like The Mummy Returns even though the Scorpion King looks like shit at the end of that movie. I can say those things.
Oh boy, does he.
Yeah. But this ended up being like, well, okay, fine. It's fine. It's just okay. It's okay. Yeah. And it's like, that's a bad thing. But I did notice also at the end, they did like the thank you. And they thanked George Perez, who created Barbara Minerva, who, wrote the Wonder Woman after, I'm going to say it, Crisis on Infinite Earths, and like a lot of what everybody knows about Wonder Woman came from what he started in 86 or 87 or whenever that was. They thanked him. They thanked, current people who are working. They did not thank Keith Giffen or Kevin McGuire, who co-created Max Lord.
Huh. That's interesting.
So are those people like, are they like Alan Moore and don't want anything to do with what DC's doing? Or was that just a DC fuck up? I kind of am on the fence of which one it is. It's like, this is your major villain of this entire movie. The only reason why he's in this movie is because he has a connection with a very tangential connection with Wonder Woman in the grand scheme of things, and you didn't even create his co-creators. That's weird. That's weird.
Why the official playlist for the soundtrack on Spotify has the Hans Zimmer score and then about 100 different 80 songs that are not in the movie.
Well, did they
just to get you amped up for the movie, man?
Jeez.
Yeah.
Jeez. I mean, if like even 2% of these songs are in the movie, I would have been like, yeah. Chris Pine learning about radar might have been my favorite moment in this movie.
Yeah.
Well, shit, Diana.
There are a lot of really nice little scenes in this, and any one of the scenes taken out of the movie and just watched individually are fine. But when they're all put in together, it just, it's like it does. The movie has struggles with its own identity. I mean, we've said it. It's like, oh, that looks like Superman when Superman has to reverse the spin of the earth to fix everything, or that feels like Superman 2 when Superman 2 Superman 2 gives up his powers to be with the person that he loves. Superman 3 has that whole opening sequence during the credits. And that's where I kind of feel like maybe those are the things that maybe Geoff Johns brought to the table, because he does know his stuff, and he is what he is probably because of the Superman movies, but this is Wonder Woman. I want something different for her, and I want something better, to be honest with you.
She deserves a better movie than this, for sure.
She does. But like, again, all of the parts are all fine. The sum just doesn't really land.
Totally.
So with that, anybody have any final thoughts?
No, I hope we get another better Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman.
Woman movie.
Oh, that's
Kevin Feige. Maybe Kevin Feige will.
He'll hop over.
Yeah, you guys just did the online Chudverse. They are going to probably call it Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman.
They call ladies woman because they cry and complain until they get what they
Seriously?
want. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, there was no intent on my part when I.
No, I know you guys better. You guys are not chuds. Anyway, so how many? Okay, I'm going to ask this: how many pairs of parachute pants do you give this movie?
Oh man!
Out of what?
Out of 5 parachute pants.
I said it was okay, so I'll give it a 2.
I was gonna say a 2, but I'm gonna give it an extra star because Brinley liked it. So I'll give it 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I'll give it 3 again. 3 is maybe a little bit more favorable, but again, the parts are fine. It's just the sum that doesn't add up. Because there's it's hard to really pick on any one thing that derails the whole thing. It's just, again, you just put it all together and it's like, gosh, this feels really schizophrenic.
What derailed it was never being on the tracks in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Excellent. Put that on a poster, somebody.
Yeah, you got it.
With a cat.
All right. So, hey, we've got episodes every Wednesday of Film Seizure. This upcoming Wednesday is our last of 2020, which is Total Recall. It's a long one because Jason just goes on and on and on.
I had a lot to say about Total Recall.
Yeah.
But we got Monster Mondays on Mondays, so you'll be able to hear that. I don't have the calendar next to me, so I don't know what the movie is.
There's a monster in it.
Well, there is. It's oh my God! It's Track of the Moon Beast.
Ah.
That one's not a very good one, but I still find 3 things I like about it. And one of those things was probably the Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode. Anyway, it was not even part of that movie. But
It counts.
Yeah, it counts. It's fine. But anyway, so you can go there. You can go to filmseizure.com, listen to all the things that we do. By the 30th or the 31st, I will have another one of these Film Seizure Streams the Movies when I talk about the second part of the Transformers War for Cybertron trilogy.
Nice.
So Earthrise, that comes out on December 30th on Netflix, so I'll probably watch it while I'm supposed to be working my day job. And then recording it while I'm supposed to be working my day job. I'm the only person on my team that's not taking that day off because nothing goes on in between Christmas and New Year's. But anyway, so yeah, you can check that out. Again, all that goodness is at filmseizure.com. You can find all of that stuff also on several places that you can listen to podcasts. So do those things. And also while you're at it, just go over to Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. You can follow us there at Film Seizure. It's good. It's all good. It's good. Do you guys think it's good? You think it's good?
It's good. It's good.
How many parachute pants do you give that?
Hey, how you doing? Call back. Call back.
I am just as I just did the head tilt thing. Like I'm so confused by that, but you know, whatever. Anyway, so until you hear from us again, for Chuck Moore and Jason Oliver, I am Geoff Arbuckle, and don't forget to save me the end of the couch. Or whatever it is that I say to these things. I forgot.
It works.
It works fine. We're streaming movies. If I was at the theater, I'd be sitting at the end of the row. And whatever. Goddamn, 2020 is almost over, and I'm glad.
Welcome to the future. Life is good, but it can be better. And why shouldn't it be? All you need is to want it.